Welcome to Loup TV. I'm Gene Munster, joined with Doug Clinton. We got three topics today. Of course, the A topic related to the market sell-off. Also, updates and news, a bunch of news coming from the EV space. And finally, a little something from an old friend, Sony, in the virtual reality space. With no further ado, Doug, we'll jump right into the A topic. NASDAQ down 3.4% today. A difficult day. On days like today, what are the things that you think about related to the market? Not Zen thinking to take your mind in other places, but what are you thinking about?
My answer might be somewhere in between, but I think investors, it's always hard to predict the macro. It's hard to predict what the market's going to do day to day. The market could be up 2% tomorrow, we get a full rebound, or it could be down another 2%, who knows? I think the first thing you need to do is anchor on value. Just look for value in tech in particular. We've seen this bloodbath that's feels like maybe 6 weeks long. Pre-Christmas, things started to really turn for tech. People were getting worried about interest rates. There's all kinds of stories you can kind of tell yourself about why tech has sold off. But I think the bottom line is, if we're just realistic about it, there were a lot of valuations that just got ahead of themselves. And so to me, number one is always anchor back into finding companies that represent good value. You want to invest in great companies at, a good value. And start there. As it pertains to what's going to happen next, like I said, who knows? I think that the volatility, when we see volatility like this, usually volatility begets more volatility. It kind of comes in clusters.
How rare is down 3.4%?
It's fairly rare. We've kind of looked at some of this data, and 2.5% move up or down in actually both the NASDAQ and the S&P. That's a 2 standard deviation move. So theoretically, at least, it should only happen, kind of 5% of the time. So it's pretty rare. This is a big sell-off. It could be, who knows, kind of capitulation is one view, or another view is it could be kind of the beginning of maybe a tougher period.
So where do you land on that? Capitulation or tougher period?
Yeah, I think, well, I'd say number one, I still land on just find value. That's the smartest thing anybody could do, is what we do at Loup across all of our funds. If you're trying to play the market, if you're trying to figure out the near term, the probability that I would kind of think about is it feels more likely that there's probably some more volatility coming versus this being the end. And I would put that mostly on how little the FANG stocks have corrected so far, which I think you've looked at some of the data on that.
Yeah, the FANG plus. Actually, probably better indication is look at the big tech companies. That would include FANG, and then Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla. They're down 12% from their high. If you look at other broader tech ETFs that kind of capture a way to kind of carve out the impact of FANG, they're down about 30%. So we're talking down 12 versus down 30. The market has been really penalizing these higher growth companies because they don't have earnings. And of course, part of that reason is that rates are going up, and the discounted cash flow has a bigger negative impact on some of these companies with less earnings. And FANG has more earnings, so therefore they're generally more protected. But at some point, do you think FANG kind of gets cracked? I mean, are they going to get hit by this eventually? Because rates are going up, they're probably going up faster. We're gonna have to brace for what the Fed says later this month.
I mean, it feels like they should. If you basically put a 1% higher discount rate in your models, at least in our models, we did this just to kind of see what happens. And the average sort of headwind to prices across the FANG plus Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla complex, it's about a 20% headwind on average. And like you said, down on average kind of 12%. So you can do the math. I mean, the deltas, call it 8%. The way that I think about it is, again, if you're really intent on kind of playing the near term, I think you need to see another maybe 7-9% kind of move in the FANG names until you can really say that we're in the all clear.
Mm-hmm. That's my take. I'm more of the down 5 to down 15%, maybe a little bit more conservative. It's a little bit about my personality too. And I would just kind of give one final thought. The Fed's going to, again, get back to us at the end of this month. And there's a view that they're not going to do much because of everything that's going on with Omicron. But I think the best thing that the Fed can do is just to, take the hit, take the medicine, take control, and specifically is send a message to the market that that you're not going to play Fed roulette anymore and have us guess. Are you going to move things up, move things back? Just take the step, bring rates up faster than people think. Yes, it will be potentially near-term negative, but I think that the market would rally just after that, just a sense that there's some visibility. Of course, markets don't like uncertainty, and this has been the biggest piece of uncertainty, trying to guess what's going on with the Fed, and it'd be nice if they put an end to that. I think the worst thing that they can do is do nothing and just say we're going to stay our course, because I think the market would be angst over that, thinking they haven't done the work that they need to do, and ultimately that is an area of uncertainty which the market does not like. Let's keep rocking and rolling, because we got more to cover when it comes to EVs. Pretty busy day today, including the Chevy Silverado, which is Ford's, the F-150, their biggest competitor. They're coming out with an EV truck they just announced. Big deal, not a big deal? What do you think?
I think it's not a big deal in the context of, I think it was expected. We all knew that GM has to have a competitor to the F-150 Lightning and the Tesla Cybertruck. To me, Ford, obviously Tesla struck first, being fair, they put out the first electric pickup truck. But I think Ford was really the first big OEM to strike with the Lightning, really put a stake in the ground that electric is also the future for pickup trucks. And I mean, the F-150 is the best-selling car in America. Not everybody knows that, but it has been for, I think, 40 years. It's actually crazy how long the F-150 has been the number one selling car. And I think people are really excited about the electrified version of it. If I remember, I think they had about 250,000 pre-orders. Ford shut down the list. I think they just opened the list back up. And they're going to start deliveries this year on that. So people are excited.
Let me interrupt. 250,000. It's mere chump change when you look at what the Cybertruck delivery. It's probably closer to 1.4. I think now, granted, they've been at it longer too.
Yeah, they've had 2 years. Yeah, a couple of years of pre-orders. There's a little difference, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I think we should make a bet. I think 3 years from now, let's say 3 years from now, when both of them are shipping, I think you're going to see more F-150 Lightnings on the road than you're going to see Cybertrucks.
I'll take the other side of that, the Cybertruck, and I'll go back just after it was announced in November of 19. I thought no real contractor would want to purchase a Cybertruck. It just didn't have the fit and finish that you'd think that the get your hands dirty type of person. We went to a construction site and surveyed, I think it was like 30 construction workers outside. And overwhelmingly, they wanted the Cybertruck. They're big fans of Elon Musk. I'll take. I understand there's some legacy momentum, Ford F-150, but I think it's time for a new guard to come out. And
the Lightning's the contrarian truck, so that's my style.
It is your style, and we'll see how this one plays out. So just to be clear, total deliveries to date by January of 2025.
You're on. Let's do it. Okay.
Total deliveries to date. Can't wait. They weren't the only ones making news. We had Sony. You heard that correct. Sony announced a car today. I got to read this because it's the electric SUV prototype Vision S02. They have now a Sony mobility division. I guess we talk a lot about Apple potentially getting in the car space. We shouldn't be surprised that Sony, given some of the legacy around that, is trying to kind of spread its wings. What's your reaction to that?
It's funny. We kind of talked about this the other day where we talked about Baidu, Chinese search company, also entering the EV space. It just feels like anybody who touches autonomy in a major way, like Baidu does, Google does, or touches consumer electronics in a major way, are really thinking about EVs. It's such a massive market, and I think that's why all these stocks have worked so well the last year plus, why Tesla's worked so well the last year. And obviously the market liked what Sony had to say because the stock was up today in a really bad market. I would be kind of shocked if Sony ever made any real headway as an EV player, though. So I just wonder, is there something more to this that they're, trying to? Is it a Trojan horse for something else? I don't know, but I can't imagine a lot of Sony cars kind of running around on the road in the future. I don't think there's going to be more Sony cars than Lightnings on the road in 4 or 5 years. I'll tell you that.
I think we're on the same page there. They weren't, kind of rounding out the news around the EV space is Amazon talked about taking some orders for some last mile delivery trucks from the company formerly known as Chrysler Fiat, now Stellantis. And that may catch some eyebrows because we have Rivian being a big backer to Rivian was Amazon. They got 100,000 unit order. I think the reason why they did this, they just can't. Amazon's got a lot more vehicles that they just want to try to get as many as electric as they can and try to get as green as fast as possible. Anything more to add on that news?
Nothing. I mean, I think you're seeing there's more demand for electric vehicles than all these OEMs can make. So seems like it kind of makes logical sense.
Last item is, we're going back to Sony here. It was a busy day at Sony. They also announced their virtual reality 2 VR2 headset. This is like $400. You do need a PlayStation to operate this. So it's $400 plus a PlayStation, which if you don't have one, you're not gonna be able to get a hold of one. They are, think of it as, it's more of a kind of a mixed reality type. There is some outward facing cameras to it, but also some controllers. So they're kind of dabbling in the space, and should Apple, Facebook be concerned about what Sony's doing over here with their VR2 headset?
Yeah, I'm a bigger believer in their VR headset than their electric car. I can tell you that. I think that
it's not saying much, though.
Yeah, I guess not. Fair point. I think the thing with the VR headset that's interesting from Sony's perspective is they have been the stalwart. I mean, they've been the leading game console for a long time now. I think more than 2 decades they've been on top of the Xbox. And the reason I think that's important is because really what I think is going to move VR, the needle for VR, is really great content and great experiences. And so Sony has built a platform with PlayStation that has delivered really great content through video games for 2 decades now. And if they can translate the relationships they have with developers, some of the stuff they do internally to the VR side, I mean, they might be the one that really moved the needle more than Facebook or Apple in a crazy way.
I think it's great intentions there. I'm sure that they're going to just dominate when it comes to these immersive metaverse types experiences on PlayStation. But I think they really need to break free from the console to really capture the wave of the metaverse. And so good start on that front, in my view, but still needs a step function away from the console to be mainstream. And so that is a wrap for today. On behalf of Doug, Gene, Loup TV, and all the news in tech, bye for now.